Alright, we're going to be replacing the CP3 on this 2007.5 Duramax. It's developed a leak through porosity in casting, which is pretty rare. They leak sometimes, but usually not through porosity in the casting. But I'm a lucky guy, that's what I got. So first things first, this hood's going to be in the way. So I already got the front end of the hood tied up to the rafters here in the barn, and I'm going to go ahead and break loose these two bolts on the hinges and take those out. I'll remove the fan belt now. The tensioner for the fan belt is right down in there, and you got to get on it with a half drive breaker bar. It's kind of tricky to get to. I'm using a breaker bar and this little 1.5 inch extension to get onto it. Here's the breaker bar down on that tensioner. I run it in between the supports here on the fan shroud, and then I really can't even get the I can't see that very well. I can't even get the breaker bar all the way in there. It's not a very good fit, but it works. Unplug the MAF sensor and remove all the intake tubes from the air filter to the turbo. I'll remove the PCV system. I've got the PCV rear out, so yours might look different. I'm going to take the 4 bolts that hold on the air conditioner compressor, take those loose, and I'm just going to throw that thing over on the left side out of the way. Don't forget to unplug everything. I'm going to work on getting this section of the wiring harness all unplugged. So I'm going to start with the battery charging lead coming off the alternator here. This is hot. So if you arc this thing against the frame or the alternator body or anything, it will arc, will spark. Be very careful. And as soon as I get that off of there, I'm going to wrap it up in a piece of inner tube and tape it up real good so that it will not arc against anything. Got another hot connection here. I believe it's the air intake heater. So, same thing, as soon as I get this off of here, wrap it up in some more inner tube. Something I like to do when I take a fastener off something, like this intake heater right here, I like to put the fastener right back on when I've got it removed, so that way I'm not looking all over the shop for fasteners. I spend enough time looking for tools, I want to be looking for fasteners too. Something I like to do on all these connections, I just like to scribe in where they go. So like this one goes to the AC pump, so I'm going to just scribe a little AC on here. I undid these wire retainers right here, and now I'm just going to pull this thing forward, up out of the way. I'm going to remove this bracket that holds the oil filler tube. I was debating whether I was going to drain this coolant or not, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So there's no drain cock on these. You have to pull the lower radiator hose. I pulled the passenger side wheel well. I didn't get that on the video, but it's pretty easy to do. Then I'm going to go and remove this little mud flap thing right here too. It's just got 2 little push pins that hold it on. There's 2. Alright. Right here is our lower radiator hose. You got your radiator right here. So this snap ring, silver snap ring right here, holds that on there. So I'm going to pull this silver snap ring off here. Snap ring, it's not a snap ring, I don't know what you call this thing. I'm gently going to pry that off of there. I hope I got enough bucket to catch all the water. And this tube right here is the one that I want empty, so I'm going to massage this a little bit. I'm going to work on getting this coolant line off of here. So I've got two electrical connections right here. There we go, one. Number two. Got a hose clamp right here, pinch type. Alright, there's a bracket here held on by two 12mm fasteners. I'm going to remove the upper radiator hose now. And these clips are kind of funny. They have a little retainer that holds them in place. They also look like they lock open if you can get them to that point. So I'm trying to figure that out here. This old radiator hose was baked on here pretty good. I shot some PV blaster penetrating oil on it, then slipped the dull end of my mechanics ruler up in there and worked it up a little bit. Sprayed a little bit more penetrating oil and just kept working it. Finally got it. I'll remove these two fasteners holding this bracket on right here. If I can get the wrench. I'm going to pull that thermostat housing. Dude, break loose here. Alright. Hello, thermostats. I'm going to remove this transmission dipstick top mount bolt right here so I can get access to this torque screw right here and remove this wiring cap. Alright, this top cap that covers this this electric cord here. These little clips are a real pain in the neck to get out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. And you can prime loose, but the problem is once you prime loose, you really have to have like all of one side loose in order to be able to twist this thing up off of there. And you can't do that because these are such a pain in the neck to get off. So what I did, I slid a pry bar under this side, and now I'm just going to work this pry bar in, create a little bit of upward pressure, so whenever I pop these loose, it'll pop up. That seems to be working. Oh yeah. Remove these 3 Torx. I'm going to remove this little gray EGR motor right here. Unplug the connector. And this is held on with 2 little bitty Phillips screws. Seems kind of cheesy to me. Haha, didn't drop it. Oh yeah. So correction, there are 4 cheesy little button head Phillips screws to hold this EGR solenoid on. General Motors, who thought button head Phillips screws was a good idea? Man, that's just asking for a strip fastener head. Come on, guys. At least use a Torx. Alright, somehow I got all 4 Phillips fasteners out of there without stripping any of the heads on them. By the grace of God. Well, EGR motor, there you go. Now I'm going to work on removing this cast intake tube right here. So we got some 12mm hex fasteners. Yeah. And then we got a couple 6mm Allens. My ratchet wrench is straight and my fixed wrench is offset, so I had to switch to the offset to get this last nut back here. Got her. Let me go ahead and unplug this. This pump. This goes to the CP3. All right, now because there's still studs in here, you can't pull this straight up or out any direction because the studs are kind of holding it in place. So I'm going to have to pull, get down on here, this up pipe coming from the intercooler. Snap ring here. There we go. Hey, that accordion's down. That's great. Got 12 mil. Even offset. Well, this thing is in a little bit of a pain. So I'm going to try and take it out. 2 pieces. There we go. Oh yeah, there's that air intake heater. It's kind of ugly. Alright. Alright, so this intake pipe, this ugly blackness you're looking at right there, that is you see that? Yeah, that is all exhaust from the EGR system. So I think we're gonna have to rectify that, probably with a homemade EGR delete. More to come on that. Right here on top of the CP3 there's another electrical connection, and this thing's kind of took me a second to figure out how to get it off of there. There's a little split tab right here. You have to stick a pry tool in between the 2 halves and pop it up, and it should slide right off of there. Alright, there are a whole bunch of fuel lines running over the top of this CP3. Looks like they're all gonna have to probably move, so I'm gonna go ahead and break loose as many of the fuel line retainers as I can. There was a clamp that I removed right there. Over here on this side of the alternator, I got this loose. And then I'm gonna take this little bracket off. This just holds the wiring harness. Just one 12 mil fastener right there. One more of those clamps right there. Done do that guy too. I believe I'm gonna have to pull the alternator in order to get to some of those fuel lines to get them out of there. That's only 2 fasteners, so I'm gonna make that happen. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off this little EGR transfer manifold thing here. So that fastener that just came out of here, that is the longer of a couple fasteners. There's another fastener that came out of right here, I believe, so just a hair shorter. This one's a little bit longer. And I can almost get on that one. Alright, so trying to remove this EGR manifold. This top bolt's real easy to get to. The bottom bolt down here is a bear. I tried every different socket extension wobble combination I had and couldn't get it. So what I figured out is this little riser, cast aluminum riser right here. There's a 6mm Allen down in this hole, and then this stud. It's supposed to be, I think, a 5mm 12-point. But I don't have any metric stuff that small, so I've got a 7/32 deep well that just fits real snug on there. And I'm going to remove that, and that's going to give me just enough room to get that bottom fastener out of there. And what I did was I took that 6mm Allen out of there and Found out I had just enough room to get that 12mm socket on there, and now I can't even get the dadgum socket back out of there, so I gotta pull that stud out. Alright, so this should be free to slide. Oh yeah. And now I should be able to get that broke loose. Ah, yeah. Alright. Here we go. Figured it out. I had it figured out there for a second. Just barely get on there. Spin it one flat at a time. That's just not a lot of fun, you know? There we go. Dadgum, that was a pain in the neck. Alright, I guess it's time to start pulling some fuel lines. Start taking this hose clamp off. Let's soak all these in penetrating oil. Here. These are Mac tools. These hose clamp pliers are fantastic. Now, these fuel lines, or just about any kind of line that's set around for a while, has a tendency to get gummed up. You can just kind of work it back and forth and it'll eventually come loose. So. Take these fuel lines off. You got to use one of these little fuel line tools. Alright, in order to get those fuel lines out, I'm going to have to take this rubber connector off of here, the turbo. This fuel line right here is clamped down, right there. This smaller of these two fuel lines, rotate the camera so you can see. There we go. Those two right here. There we go. See if you can see it from looking down from the top side. You can just see where the wrench is on there. In order to get to the small fuel line here, go back over here so you can see that wiring harness right there, or that section of wiring. You have to unwrap, where you can see here, you have to unwrap this little section around here so that you can pull it up off of the mount there. There's a fixed mounting point and it won't come off unless that's off of there. This is the clamp that was holding that large fuel line. Goes right here. See that fastener right there? Holds that mount on. I'm going to break that loose, get out of there. Alright, let's see if there's enough room. Oh yeah. Alright. So it's not necessary to move that completely, you just have to move it. And then hopefully we can get in on this fuel rail. So that small fuel line goes back to the common rail back here. And getting that 19mm wrench on that injection connection, or excuse me, on that fuel line connection, is a pain in the neck. Man, everything about this job is a pain in the neck. Finally, man, that was a pain to get to. That's not going to come out that way until I get the big fuel line off, which I'm not going to be able to get the big fuel line off without pulling this. I'm not going to be able to get those fuel lines off until I pull this bracket right here that holds the AC compressor. Man, that sucks. Alright, in order to get this power steering pump out of here, it looks like I'm going to have to pull this shroud and get rid of this fan guard right here. So I'm going to start by pulling this little electronic control module out right here. Yay! I'll pop the AC hose out right here. Alright, and there's 2 fasteners up top. There's a total of 4 little plastic clips down at the bottom. These little clips down here, there's 2 on each side. There's this smaller round part and then the larger flat washer part. You have to get a pry tool in there and just pry up on the middle. When that pops up, and you can pull it out.